time. This is Ready Row USA. I'm your producer and host tonight, Charlotte Pierce, and we have an exciting preview of the U.S. Rowing Convention coming up, courtesy of Reba Knickerbocker of Bend the Blade, fabulous
Howdy.
coach. Hi.
Howdy, folks.
Hi.
Hello.
Yeah. Thank you for coming on, and I'm glad to do an evening one. I think we catch some other people this way too.
Yeah.
People that can't get away during the day. We have a couple of people watching already. Roberta and Wilma, thank you for tuning in, and please ask some questions. I think I can grab the comments.
Please. I'd love some questions.
Yeah, we would love questions. And you can even put them in afterwards. So that's cool too. I'm just going to roll through where this is, like I said, our first preview of the U.S. Rowing Convention. We're going to be doing a couple more for the different tracks, the diversity, equity, and inclusion, women's, and that's what Reba will be talking about tonight. It's in Philadelphia, December 5th through the 8th, and it's just a great place to get together with your rowing buddies and learn some stuff and get some ideas for your club and so forth.
With some folks that you haven't seen for a while. It's always like old
home. Yeah, I just went to a publishing conference, my 8th one for the Independent Publishers of New England, and it was just like seeing all these people, old board members, and just getting lots of good ideas. Juices were flowing. But like I said, I'm the producer, and we've been going for about a year now, which is amazing to me. We have almost 40 episodes under our belt. Mm-hmm. Our senior correspondents are Mark Wilson and Ryan Worth in Chattanooga. Mark's with the All-American Rowing Camp, and I'm a little jealous because he's over in Portugal right now with some campers that he's taking over there. Correspondents include Tara Morgan of CCOR, Will Ruth of Strength Coach Roundtable, Reba Knickerbocker, our guest tonight, and Veronica Platzer also contributes. She's out at Boulder Community Rowing. And then Ben Booth and Michael Knowles, they're our coastal gurus. So coastal's a big topic now in U.S. rowing and world rowing too. I don't know if you do much of that, Reba, or?
I do not, but it's fascinating.
Nancy Mack and I went out with Ben in September out at Westport, Mass. And it was just like, it was a blast. It was just like total, different, but similar to sculling. And
right.
Anyway, we have several podcasts on the Rowing Chat Network. We have Faster Masters, this one, Ready Row USA, and Strength Coach Roundtable, which is Will Ruth, and Rebecca Caro and Marlene Royal also do Rowing Chat. So that's a lot of interviews, great lineup there. You can subscribe at rowing.chat. So it's one of those new URLs, and you can find all the details there. So again, there's only one way we can come to you, which is through our wonderful sponsors. We have a couple new ones this month, I'm sorry. Rowing related, it's Rowing News by Brian Kitch. And let me see if I can tell you a little bit about that. Do you know Brian Kitch? I think he's...
I don't.
Yeah, he's got good independent journalism is a valuable commodity nowadays, and rowing newspapers are no exception. Let me pull this down so I don't have to look up. And Brian Kitch writes at rowingrelated.com, and his detailed knowledge of the sport has built its reputation as an excellent source of information, news, and opinion. And you can get a subscription to the monthly newsletter with a 20% discount for your first year from this exclusive offer just for Rowing Chat listeners. And you can read his free introductory article called The Future of Rowing at the Olympics, How Rowing Should Adapt to Stay Relevant. Good topic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And grow its base on the world's grandest stage. So you can visit our website to get that discount. And the other one is Rebecca Caro did a roundup of rowing gloves, a key element of your kit in rowing, I think, especially in the beginning of the season or if you've taken a break. So there's the rowing related one. And so these are, my favorite cruise stop. There's several other brands that she profiled, and you can get discounts and a full list at rowing.chat/sponsor rowing-gloves. So those are all on our sponsored page on the website. Now let's get to the heart of the matter. Reba Knickerbocker is one of my favorite coaches, and I just love what you do out there. I love that workshop that you gave out in
Hartford. Yeah.
And Nancy and I are still talking about it. We're still quoting it, and your expertise with women and masters is just really, really awesome. So we're proud, honored to have you on. And
thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, good. And we'd like to hear a little bit more. I can roll through your slides for those who are watching, and tell me when to change it.
So why don't you go ahead and go to the one you just had up about the mental skills. I think that's the first one up. But I'm going to be doing 3 talks at the convention. And last year I did one when the convention was in San Diego, and that was the Women in Competitive Behavior or Competitive Success, the C word. And it was quite well received, and it was really, really great fun, lots of fun to be there and talk to folks and present on that. And so this time around, I'm doing 3 talks actually. And the first one that you have up right now is called Your Athletic Brain, Mental Training Skill for Athletics and Life. And, these are just sort of, if you're not doing some sort of mental training, if you are, I don't care whether you're competitive or recreational or ocean rowing or sculling or sweep or, you name it. If you're not doing some sort of mental piece to your training and your experience, then change your mind.
I know. And it's a constant reminder. You have to constantly remind yourself to do that, I think.
And it is just as important as any kind of physical training, any kind of technical training, just as important. And I would say sometimes, when you get down to races where you're at nationals and the difference between the top 3 boats in the final is less than, I don't know, less than 3 seconds, let's say, then, what are we really talking about? We're really talking about a mental game. We're not talking about, a technical, a physical, or even an equipment issue. We're talking about people who are really dialed in. So, so your athletic brain, and there's kind of 4 different areas that I'm going to be talking about with that particular talk. I think we have a slide of those.
Let me see.
There we go.
Okay, good.
So, positive self-talk, pre-race routines, visualization, imagery, and goal setting or achievement. And part of the visualization and imagery one, I have a really, really interesting piece in that called layered stimulus response training. And this is something that most people don't know about and don't realize how unbelievably effective it can be. And so I'm going to be talking about, that's a teaser, right? I'm not going to tell you what that is exactly.
Okay, I won't reveal it. Some of this you touched on at the workshop in March, right?
Yes. Yeah. So if you're thinking about going to the convention and you're going to be there for the master's track, please come and listen to this talk, because it's chock full of actual applicable practices that you can engage in to make your rowing and your experience just a lot better.
Perfect. Love it.
Yeah. Yeah. And so let's see, the other 2 talks, one is called Skill Acquisition and Intentional Team Building. And in that one, I talk about, how does an organization set itself up to be able to provide its rowers with the best opportunity to acquire skill? What does that look like? How does an organization do that? How does an organization do that? And how do the rowers engage with that as well? Because it takes 2 to tango, right? You have a fantastic organizational structure, And then you can have rowers that are disengaged or not able to be there for whatever reason, or can't afford to be there for whatever reason. So that's the first part of the talk. The second part of the talk is intentional team building. So once we're acquiring skill in a way that feeds into us learning really well and progressing through the process of becoming better rowers and more experienced, then you want to look at how do we build teams around that in an intentional way. And, I think a lot of clubs out there are just sort of default building team, like whatever, we're all here, we're all rowing. Okay, we're a team.
And they have a potluck once in a while.
Right, exactly. And it doesn't work that way. You have to really be intentional about your team building, and you have to have some forethought and some plan around it. Where are we going? What are we doing? What's the point of all of us being here? And so,
and it seems like part of that is giving people feedback too. Like, look, I noticed you're having a little bit of trouble. Why don't you and so go off and do a little work on that? Or is that are
you talking about like personal issues between rowers, or
not between rowers, but like you have to be the coach or the manager has to kind of guide people. I mean, they may not want to.
It's a double-edged sword, right? I mean, coaches, head coaches, team managers, team captains have to be the ones who are standing up and setting the tone, and rowers have to participate in that.
Absolutely.
I mean, there are lots of rowers that will just sort of, roll their eyes at a captain or a coach and be like, yeah, whatever, and turn around and walk away. Like, I mean, there's a lot of, like I said, it takes two to tango. You've got to have really good captains who are engaged, who have a plan for the team, a direction that they're moving in. Same thing for a head coach, a direction that you're moving in. Same thing for an executive director or program director, the on high individual that is also setting the tone. And rowers have to be wanting to buy into whatever that plan is. And if they're not willing to buy in, if for some reason the plan is disagreeable to them, that is there a forum for them to step up and to talk about that?
Yeah, it seems like, especially with masters, like we all have these kind of crazy lives, and then our rowing is like something we fit in or we make time for in those crazy lives. But sometimes we bring stuff to the boat.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And
we take, so I think sometimes rowers take things very personally because we're highly invested in what we do. I mean, we are dedicated, right? So that's the skill acquisition, intentional team building. I really like that talk because it also brings in some discussion of character.
And that could be for, like, at CRI we have a large group of scullers. It could be that, or it could be the sweeps rowers, like an 8 or a team that's regularly gets together as a unit, right?
Absolutely. The one thing that I really that really stands out for me in this talk specifically is I was starting to say the discussion of character. I think there's a really huge emphasis on developing character in junior athletes, in athletes, but nobody except for me talks about developing character with adult athletes. And this
that is so critical. Yeah, I mean, I get up. I feel sometimes like I'm a beginner every time I go on the water. It is critical. You have to be mindful of making improvements even at the age of 63 or whatever.
Exactly. And nobody shows up with perfect character, right? Everybody, we all have our sort of issues that we deal with, and I think the rowing will sometimes magnify those. And you have to be willing to look at those and to grow and to change over time. Otherwise, it's not good.
Yeah, and also to when something happens, to kind of acknowledge it and find a way to talk about it with people. I mean, we have issues,
Sure. Group. Yeah, absolutely. And then I think the other one The other talk is the women and competitive, I can't remember what it's, competitive behavior, competitive success,
Oh,
the C word. Yeah, there you
oh
go.
yeah, yeah.
And so this one is a talk that I've given several times. It's several different places. And essentially, I look at how women who are mostly pre-Title IX women, although I think that it includes any female athlete, how they incorporate their approach to being competitive with how they internally look at competitive behavior. And without getting too much into the meat of the talk, I really I've looked at some research. Most of the research, I mean, I say all the research out there is all around either junior athletes or collegiate athletes. Essentially, the research is saying that female athletes do not like to compete, and I'll use the word against because that's the way it's framed in studies, against each other if you're on the same team. That's because we females are really about our social connections with each other. And anytime you're involved in something that might threaten that, things can get a little not good. And I also talk a little bit about, how we socially as girls are indoctrinated into being competitive and what that looks like. So all that to say, but without giving it away, that this particular tends to push a lot of buttons for people. It's provocative. And I think that that's good. I'm all about bringing provocative stuff to the U.S. Rowing Convention.
Well, I've been struggling with that issue since I went to your workshop. Like I keep asking myself, like it's just making the commitment to be competitive or to accept that is a ongoing process.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many clients I work with individually who are, on the one hand, all about like, I have a goal. I want to get to this goal. I want to reach this particular thing. I want to get in the head of Charleston, or some big competitive thing that they want to do. I want to break my PR on the erg, whatever it is. So that's consciously what they're saying to themselves. But once we dig in a little bit, unconsciously, what's happening is they are conflicted about actually being competitive because of previous experiences they had growing up around what it meant to be competitive. And so it's this discord that they have in their minds. And so they're not able to reach this thing because on the one hand, they're saying, yeah, I want to do that. But subconsciously, there's a block there.
Yeah, I was talking, I think I mentioned you, I interviewed Catherine Widgery, who's a frequent winner at the head of the Charles.
Yeah.
And she was describing what, like the moment she realized that she was good and that she really wanted to win. And it just like, she just kind of went into the zone. It was something, to interesting discussion that she described that.
Yeah. I think there's, this is the other piece too, is that there was recently a post that came out from Dr. Jennifer Wallinga about, did you know the one I'm talking about? It was on, it was all over social media.
Yes, I think I saw it, yeah.
Yeah, I posted it on my site, and because I thought it was a fantastic article all about how, it's time to sort of turn coaching into being more 21st century instead of breaking people down, really lifting people up, helping people to feel capable.
Yeah. I was, I've always said this, my coaches at CRI, the sculling coaches I have, they are amazing. I can't say enough about them because like Anna Juracek and Brian Di Domenici and Lane, Lena, his last name, Laureate. They focus in on the individual. They're so good at that. And it doesn't matter if you're elite athletes or somebody's mom, they just, I don't know how they do that. It's fantastic.
Well, good. I mean, that's what good coaches do. Good coaches basically take themselves out of the picture.
Yeah,
that's really the purpose of it, in my opinion. In my opinion, as a coach, it's not about me. It's about the athlete.
Yeah.
And I think once coaches get out of their own way and actually make it about the athlete, then it becomes a little bit more of a like, yeah, how am I treating the whole person of this athlete? Because it's not just about the competition. It's not just about winning races. It really is about developing.
Or it's not comparing the people in this cohort to each other. It's
right. That's right.
That's right. And unless you're in a race. But
and that's the thing. And then you're racing, and your competitor is really the only thing that pushes you to be better than you are.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Nancy Mack had a question. I love it when we get questions.
Yeah.
How important is being a team player within a club versus going to another club to get your personal goals met? It's hard for women to be individually focused. I think I know what she means.
How important is being a team player within a club versus going to another club to get your personal goals met? I don't know that those are, mutually exclusive. Like, I think you could, I think it's fine to be in a club and be as much of a team player as you possibly can. And there may be a limit in that particular club as to how much you can get out of that. So you're there and you're doing your thing and you're a team player. And then to go to a different club, like let's say it's a sweep versus sculling. And let's say, one club is only offering sweep. And so that's good for you. That works sometimes. And then you want to go and you actually want to be a sculler, then totally fine to go. And maybe going and being a sculler is at a different club is actually going to help you to be a better team player at the other club. So
because,
I don't know.
Because the club may not offer a full range of sculling.
Right. Right.
Right.
And I think, the comment about women have a hard time being individually focused. I think it's true. We're always sort of interested in, there's a lot of caretaking, right? How is my friend doing? And that's the whole piece I was saying about being socially competitive and how that can affect whether you compete now. You have a friend on the team, you don't want to beat her because maybe she won't be your friend anymore. And I know that sounds kind of high school.
It happens. So true. Well, listen, we are. I just wanted to cover a few things. Like, what else is going on there? Have you gotten word of some of the other new tracks or anything else?
Yeah. So the women's track sounds just fantastic. So they're going to have a panel of women from the 1976 Olympic squad. They were in the 8. That sounds fantastic. They're going to show the movie about Joan. What's her last name? Help me. Bloom. Joan. Yeah. So there's going to be a showing of that, which is going to be great, and then a discussion afterwards. There's going to be a discussion from some women about C-suite executives and how being an athlete can inform that leadership. And then there's the whole masters track. And of course there's, Coach Dietz is going to be there for that. And Liz Fusco talking about nutrition. So, I mean, it's full of excellent things that are happening.
There's a new coxswains track too, right? Or a couple of sessions.
Is there? That's great. I haven't looked at the site in a couple of days. So if there's anything new up,
I've scouted out their site a little bit. I'm going to be talking to someone from the office tomorrow and get some more ideas for our upcoming preview shows. And definitely the diversity, equity, and inclusion, and the coastal stuff, I think, is going to be a lot of focus on that too.
Yeah. I think it's good, and I think the more we can get these different groups in there and talking and not being siloed into their own little meeting room and only talking to each other, but everybody kind of mixing it up and going to different talks. Maybe like I welcome. I mean, in San Diego, there were maybe like 2 guys that came to the women in competitive behavior.
I mean,
this is a really, if you're a male coach out there and you're coaching masters women, you need to come to this talk. You need to hear this talk big time. So
I will send people there. We're going to actually be there. I think Tara Morgan, one of our correspondents, is going to be there, and I will. And we're going to be interviewing people. We're going to we'd love to have people come up and, tell us what they think, what what's going on in their club or their lives as rowers, what they really like about the convention, who they saw, just fun stuff that will help connect us all. So
that'd be great.
Kind of where we're about. Good. Yeah. And thank you to our viewers and listeners on the podcast later. We are going to roll out here. I'm beating my drum for the rowing club news. I love doing these spotlights on rowing clubs, like just random clubs out there that doing fun stuff, and just like, keeping a track of the pulse of the things that are going on. And, please send in your news. Nothing is too small or if you think it's insignificant, it isn't. It reflects what's going on at rowing clubs around the country. Always love our gadgets and gear. We're probably going to do another session on that upcoming before the holidays. So you get your gifts ideas going if you give gifts. Always good. And again, our sponsors are, we are so grateful to them, especially our new sponsors this month. And yes, we have a hashtag. If you use this hashtag on social media, you'll win something. And I'm hoping that Reba may offer a consult or something.
Absolutely.
Whatever. If you stop by Northampton, where are you?
I am in Northampton, but I work with clients all over.
Right. And just not to plug you too much, but I'm going to plug you. Okay. Really fabulous insight to yourself as an athlete and a rower. That's what you'll get from Reba's.
Excellent. Yes. Thank you very much. I appreciate the plugging.
You're welcome. And we will have you back because you're one of our correspondents now, whether you like it or not.
Wow. Great.
Yeah. And so I'm the producer. I've been doing this for a year. Like I said, I've just come out with a new children's book. It's about 10 diverse authors. I publish books. I don't write them, but the author is just a fantastic, she's a BU literature professor and written a nice book about, a picture book for kids. We have Mark. He's off in Portugal with the All-American Rowing Camp, and I'll be going down to take 2 camps with him and Jim Dietz in January, end of December and January. So, because I was good, Santa Claus gave me 2 weeks of rowing camp. So I'm so excited. I'm very excited about that. Ryan Worth, he's going to be back with us as hosting next week, I believe. And he's down there in Chattanooga. They just finished the Head of the Hooch, which was like crazy.
Yeah.
I guess they got a lot of fog and, but they such a great group of people that run that. I just love them. I rode there last year. So Ryan, we're thinking about you. Love your club. And yeah, we got more convention preview, club news, gadgets and gear, winter camps, gifts, and all that good stuff coming up. We generally go weekly, and sometimes we make a different time. Usually it's Wednesdays at 11, but sometimes I think it's good to have at least one a month in the evening.
This is great because I tell you, I don't know about anybody else out there, but I'm working. So I gotta, Wednesday at 11, that's not going to happen, but this is awesome. I really appreciate your flexibility, Charlotte, because it's great to be able to have this time. And I just want to say one quick thing, and that's for all of you out there who are listening or who might listen later to this. If you are going to be in Philly, if you're going to be at the convention, please come find me. If you are a master's woman and you want to have some discussions, if you are a master's man and you want to have discussions, if you are a master's coach and you want to have discussions, if you are anybody who wants to come and talk about the things that I like to talk about, please, let's do it. I'm excited.
Yeah, we'll see you all there, and we'll have more coverage next week. Thank you so much, Reba.
Absolutely. Bye.